Coming up on Man Enough.
We feel that it's really important for men to have these honest conversations about self-image, about body image, about the pressures that they face.
What we would call an eating disorder for a woman, if you go to your local gym, like you'll probably find a lot of the same characteristics that are sort of in a different package.
Asking people to undress and take off their clothes until they're in their underwear as we're interviewing them about style and self-image and identity was, our way of like showing people literally and symbolically, like removing all the layers of like cultural conditioning and everything we've been taught about how we're supposed to look, how we're supposed to dress, how we're supposed to be, everything, and like reclaiming our bodies and ourselves outside of that.
Being man enough, what does that mean?
It's really manly to mess up, admit you're wrong, and then grow.
I couldn't accept that I was evil. So maybe I'm broken, but those broken things could be corrected.
Intimacy between a father and a son is me just wanting to like put my head in your lap.
I love you, son.
You haven't called me benevolent sexist, but my experience is women are better.
Even if it's a positive, it's still not equality.
I don't blame men for that. I just blame the system.
This is
Man Enough.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Man Enough podcast. I'm Jamey Heath.
I'm Liz Plank.
Indeed, we got no Justin Baldoni, but Justin sends his love.
He does.
Liz, look at you in your dress.
Yeah.
Is this what you do all the time? Just like show up in the coolest dresses?
Only when I'm with you and all of you at home watching. No, I want to look nice.
You always look
nice. I care.
know it.
And I want to reflect, my mood. I feel like that's what men can miss out on when you're not as connected to fashion or that you're not encouraged to care about fashion. It's like a way of expressing how I feel that day.
Oh, good. By the way, before we get into everything, you need to follow us on YouTube because you can see, look at Liz right now. She's just got all the joy and
YouTube.
all of that. Listen to us and watch us on YouTube because we have a cool little channel over there. So, what do we want to talk about today? We're going to get into a lot of stuff.
We're going to get into a lot of stuff. We're having a lot of firsts. I feel it at the end of this season.
We're having a first today?
Yeah, we're having a first. But I don't think we've ever had a mother-daughter on the show.
We have not, which is interesting because normally we talk about subjects that I would say at least front-facing appeal to men, being that our show's called Man Enough.
Yes.
But I think all things should appeal to men.
Yeah.
Not just something that specifically that you look in a men's book, but things that pertain to women and all genders should be something that we all care about and learn from.
Yes.
And so it's really exciting that we have two women on, a mother and daughter. Who are they, Liz?
We have mother and daughter duo and co-founders of Style Like You, an amazing platform, amazing brand.
Super popular. Way more popular than us.
Yes. I believe Liz, it was like one of Lizzo's first interviews and sort of started her on her body positivity journey, which she's obviously on and taking us all on. So we have Elisa Goodkind and Lily Mandelbaum. They created Style Like You, but they also created What's Underneath, which is a really popular YouTube series where people talk and they undress while they talk about the amazing things that they are doing in the world. It really
undress meaning
their clothes. They take off clothes.
Go down to your like underwear.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's happening.
I'm ready.
Maybe we should do that while we do this episode. No, we're not going to rip it off, but it's a really cool concept. So yeah, welcome Lily and Eliza.
Welcome.
Yeah, we're so excited to be with you today.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
So
we're really happy to be here.
What's really sweet is we're going to get into it. Hopefully you guys are willing to go in because we want to go in. Right, we don't want to just have like a bus stop conversation. We want to have like we're hanging out and have a real conversation. We love this. We just recently had a mother and a son on, and it was such a sweet experience to see their relationship and discuss things that pertain to advancing society. Really, so to have a mother and a daughter on is a first for us, and we're excited to have you guys. So you guys obviously are close.
Yeah, you could say that.
Were you always close?
Yeah, I mean we were always close when I was growing up. But I don't think anything can compare to working together for the last 13 years. So we're as close as it gets, I think, in a healthy way for a mother and daughter. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it took a lot of work.
And it takes a lot of work.
It does.
We'll get into it. We start the show by asking every guest, when is the last time that you didn't feel enough? Do you want to start, Lily?
I think it's like a daily practice to feel enough. And I think I have to talk myself into embodying that, like in all kinds of moments, in all kinds of ways, like whether it's a negotiation that I'm doing for business. I have to remind myself that like I matter enough and my needs matter enough to like speak up for myself and to get what makes me feel comfortable in the arrangement to happen, or in my partnership, my romantic partnership, I have to constantly remind myself that my voice matters. So I think it's like kind of a daily thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good answer.
Yeah, I would say about 50,000 times a day. Even though I'm in the best place that I've ever been and I feel that I'm in the prime of my life. It makes me think of something very recent with my partner, my husband of 37 years.
Wow.
Yeah. I've been increasingly expressing my needs and understanding what needs are, because even though I'm from a very revolutionary moment in time, and a lot of what we're doing with Style Like You is coming from that time in terms of self-love and the right of everyone to feel whole and to understand their purpose in the world and to understand that they have so much meaning and that no one here is random. So the awakening of that has been really huge for me. And I have been increasingly understanding that I have needs, and he has increasingly had to deal with that. And then that he triggers me, and I have had to feel okay that he triggers me, and not feel like a bad person for like saying, I don't like that you trigger me and you need to stop triggering me. And then
he gets triggered.
And then I have to be okay with the fact that I don't then have to take care of him feeling badly that he triggered me. He recently was just, I get it, and I you've only recently been talking about all this, so it's going to take me a while to unwrap this and to unravel this, but I hear you and I get it.
37 years in.
Wow.
Yeah.
Always.
Well, yeah, we're having a lot of growth right now.
I'd say they're having the most growth they've ever had in the last like few years.
Yeah.
And this is, and forgive me for even asking, but I don't want to assume this is your dad.
Yeah, it's my dad.
So you've experienced their whole relationship and the transformation and the triggering and all the what they've come to.
And can I ask, how does he trigger you? What are things, if you can share?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think that what you just described,
well,
the cycle is
it's difficult. You know, we're triggered because of our own wounds. So then there's the separation between what is mine and what is his, and like that's all really, that's a lot to deal with and to figure out. But it doesn't mean that the person he still shouldn't be triggering me, because it's,
or could be more conscious of. Like, because you can't fully put it on him if some of it's your own stuff,
it's
but...
it is me. So what does he do? So I'm trying to think. It's really weird because I have this thing where I get very upset, but then I completely forget about it. I'm like,
I'm the same.
Yeah, and then I completely forgot why I was so upset.
Does that mean that some of the things that you were upset about were maybe not that material? If you can't remember them?
This is the thing. It's little things like paying attention, like being present, paying attention, listening, like saying something. Oh, okay. So yeah, it was yesterday. It was the other day. It's something like, I am trying to de-stress. We always go for a walk at the end of the day, all around the canals and everywhere with the dog. And I saw these ducks, this duck with these little
They live in Venice.
Little ducklings, little ducklings. And I'm trying to I'm very much more spontaneous. And I'm like, let's just walk the other direction. And who cares about time? And who cares about what we're eating? And he's always like, oh, it's late. And who cares? I don't care. And I see this mother duck with their baby ducks and it's so cute. And the ducks are plopping in the water. And I'm taking videos of them to send to my two kids and their partners. I'm so excited to do that, and I'm so excited to share that moment. And he's like on the other side of the bridge going, it's late. And I was like, I asked you to give me space and to have that we could have a good time and be present and be spontaneous and not be worrying about time and not be rigid. I asked you that. I forgot to tell you that. I asked him that.
Okay.
To not do that.
You were clear. Okay.
And he couldn't not do that.
Right.
He couldn't not do that.
And do you think he's triggered by you being so free because that's his thing of control and feeling, right?
Yeah. Well, he's just.
I love how your daughter's like.
I have worked on myself all of my life, and I'm in a very spiritually, psychologically, it's a nonstop for me. It's just a nonstop, based on what we do. Obviously, it's just it's just a nonstop. He wants that, but he's got a lot of stuff that he's protecting.
Right. That protects him too.
And it's really interesting that we're, this brings me to like what we're going to be doing with you guys, which we're so excited about, and partnering on a What's Underneath Men and Masculinity series, because as I am looking at the people that we're going to shoot and like looking at this issue, I'm like, oh, whoa, like how much of this is personal to him, but how much of this is society, and I'm really seeing it. Like I'm really seeing like how he just couldn't be that person, and he just was. I mean, I see it like a ton. Yeah. It's like everywhere.
And, I think women, we've had more of these conversations. I've had the message sent to me as a young girl that my needs aren't as important. And so I think our male partners, that the great ones, make space for that. Mm-hmm. And I think the women, we can forget that like, oh, right, like, men have this too, and men are just kind of at the beginning. And your husband, is not of a generation where I'm sure these things were talked about in the way that they are now. And so I think having that same empathy for them can be difficult because we just assign it to their individuality, and this is just the way that they are, and that's why they're choosing to do that. Some of it is really the system. I mean, Justin's wife Emily talked about that, right? That it opened up a whole other layer to these arguments, which felt small and sort of individual. And become, but I think that's where the opportunity lies, right?
Yeah, it's like if it was a small thing by itself and it never happened and it was a random thing, then no big deal. Mm-hmm. But when it's like a pattern of small things, then it's like, it is a big deal.
Of course.
The empathy is true. It is important also, and his programming is so deep, much deeper, and in terms of his being able to get his needs met.
I'm thrilled that we're having this conversation. Man Enough, which is expanding, and we want to partner with people that are better than us. You don't want to be the smartest person in the room. So we are partnered with you so that we and ourselves can learn and be better, and hopefully extend your platform and extend ours. What are we doing? Tell us what we're doing, why we're doing this.
So we're partnering on a season of our What's Underneath series that will exclusively be exploring masculinity, and specifically vulnerable masculinity. So, we've interviewed, our platform so far has mostly been focused on women or female identifying people or gender nonconforming folks, trans folks. That's been our focus to date. But we feel that it's really important for men to have these honest conversations about self-image, about body image, about the pressures that they face as well. And so we think it's important, as sort of the root of, as if our goal is to unravel patriarchy in our way and to help people feel more liberated and free in who they are, we don't think we should exclude men from that conversation, and that it's, at the root of the problem. So it's time to talk about stuff.
And just to be very clear, it's a What's Underneath series, so they will be doing, so what people do basically is they come in their layers of their unapologetic style, like 10, 11, 12 layers.
10, 11, 12. So dressed like I am, but with more layers.
10, 11, 12 layers.
Purposely, I would come in if I were a guest.
Well, we can only ask as many questions as there are layers.
Yeah.
Because
with each, because so it's about a 2-hour interview. It gets very deep. Mm-hmm. And very vulnerable, and it starts out more with the less vulnerable questions about style and assumptions that people make about you based on your appearance, and then we go deeper and deeper and deeper into more personal and deeper questions
as the layers come off.
Each question I take. So if I'm a guest, I'm gonna bring 20 layers on. Put my hoodie, put my hat, put my undershirt.
I mean, you don't have to It's more like 20. It's more like 10 to 12 items.
Fine.
Yeah.
Put it on. You ask me a question.
Well, we ask more or less the same questions, but then we vary those depending on the windy journey of their story. So in between, we go, but then we come back
to the core
to the next question, to the next core question.
And by the end of it,
it's a catharsis. It's a full circle.
And you're in your underwear.
I love it.
Yeah.
Because I think oftentimes we hide behind our homes, our money, our jobs, our name, our status, our height, our clothes. Yeah. And when you tear away those layers and we're not posturing as much, you can be more vulnerable. Right. And now you're like naked, literally, in your truth.
And also, like, one of the things I just want to add, like, we have purposely, gone for every story and person and type and diversity that we can find, not because we know the answer. It's so that they can tell us. It's we have learned. Yeah, we have learned completely from the people that we've interviewed. They teach us.
Maybe you can share with us and with our audience why you speak to these things. Of course, Man Enough, we are talking about these things because we do think that all people need to have voices that can echo their own, maybe give them a little bit of guidance, hear someone else's vulnerability, finding a safe place that men can be accountable, how we can be better to ourselves, but also better for women, better for everyone. So that's part of our agenda. It's always been. What is yours? How did this come about? Tell us what you are really trying to do.
We started Style Like You when I was 19. I'm 33 now. It was an accident that it turned into what it's turned into. Basically, my mom, you can speak if you want to your side of the story. Do you want to say?
Yeah, usually I tell my side first because I'm younger. No. So in my 20s, I was a fashion editor and stylist in New York at all the fashion magazines and at Condé Nast, they were the main ones publishing all the fashion magazines. And it was just an incredibly eye-opening, really mind-blowing. It was a mind-blowing experience to be in New York in the 80s at that time. Like, as everyone talks about, it was that. And the other editors of the other magazines, it's changed a lot. But at the time, they were every age. They didn't wear the same designer clothes. They all were extremely individual, extremely unique. It wasn't this machine that it's become. So I just had this incredible experience of understanding and having my mind open to what it was to really be an individual, down to every ring on your finger, down to every way you wore your everything, outer and inner expression was seamless. As time went on, I dropped out for a while when I had kids. I taught yoga. I discovered my whole spiritual side, which is a huge part of Style Like You, meditation and motherhood. And then I went back to it as a freelance fashion stylist and editor. And I faced a world that I did not know. Like it was just a shocking difference of cubicles and marketing machine and not giving clothes to anyone over 14 years old for the cover of a magazine.
That's an exaggeration.
I mean, kind of. Like it was like all about marketing, all about brainwashing, all about the 14-year-old becoming the 25-year-old and only buying that designer. So like it wasn't about honoring someone who had done incredible things and they were 70 or 80 or 90, or various all other things, as I had experienced.
Yeah. So it had just become a market
about money.
Yeah, just exploiting people's insecurities in order to sell clothes.
Everything was about selling. The fashion shows, which were once in these very unique individual places, depending on the brain and the creativity of the designer who could express themselves fully, and no one was like the other, and no one was copying each other, and suddenly they were front row and hierarchy and snobby and pretentious and exclusive and mean. And everyone was wearing the same thing, and everyone was wearing the same designer bag that was way more than half of a year of rent. I was really devastated.
Wow,
I was devastated.
Yeah. It's so funny because what you describe is what I know to be fashion. I don't know that other part, and I love clothing. I love but fashion does not appeal to me at all because to me it's that it's like an elitist, expensive, scary, like order.
Makes you feel terrible. Makes you feel like you're not part of the conversation.
Yes.
It was all very designed. Right. Yeah. It was very designed to be that way.
Growing up, I was like, when people would say, "Do you want to work in fashion like your mom?" I'd be like, "No, like that's superficial. That's mean. It's exclusive. It's pretentious. Like I don't get it. It's not something I want to be part of." But we did share this passion for people and their self-expression through style. And we knew these people that were not being shown in magazines in front of the camera who really marched to the beat of their own drum and how they dressed and how they expressed themselves through clothing, and where it was very distinctly different than what fashion media was putting forth, in that it was an expression of something very deep inside of them, something very soulful, something connected to their story, and also like a symbol of being just this like fierce individual who was like knew themselves and was comfortable in who they were. We started to realize that style had this potential to be an empowering thing, something that was an empowering expression that you could be part of no matter who you were, what you looked like, what your body was, how old you were. We just picked up a home video camera one day and started to interview those people that we thought that, it started with literally the 5 or 10 people that we just like knew. We just picked up the phone and we're like, can we come into your home with a home video camera into your closet and ask you and ask you about why you dress the way you dress and what it says about you and your story and how did you get so strong to defy these norms and not conform to what fashion media is telling you have to be. And
very intentionally diverse, though.
Yeah, always
from the very
one
beginning
to the next was super diverse. And we just were so immediately like high off of the experience. Like I was just, my mind was blown right away. And as to, you know, realizing that I could maybe like have style and still have this body and I could still and feel good and have fun with clothing
and be empowered as a person. The very first one we did, the very, very first one, she starts to talk about her flat chest and why she loves it. This was in 2009. Like she's talking about how she loves that she has no cleavage.
Meaning, and as though she was talking about how she doesn't wear a padded bra to like change herself. She instead owns this part of this thing that maybe in society is deemed a flaw. She was embracing, and not just embracing, but like fully owning and being like, this is my favorite part of my body. I don't wear a padded bra. I actually like to wear low-cut shirts where you see that I don't have cleavage. And she's a very feminine person.
Right.
Like it was. And so we were immediately, she used to wear padded bras because she's super flat-chested and was immediately like, oh, wait.
Never again.
No, like I can just.
Well, after that.
Never again.
Yeah.
After experiencing
I was never again. I was like, it's my favorite part of my body. And so now we're like over 1,000 videos later. And
we learned basically through all these interviews that like the unifying thread between everybody that we were drawn to interview in this way was that it really wasn't about their clothing at all. It was about their sense of comfort in their skin. That's what we were drawn to in them. Like two people could be wearing the same outfit, but if one person is really owning who they are and that self-expression is coming from that place, that's what makes you be like, oh, who is that person?
Yeah.
And so beautiful. Like that's the thing. I even cringe a little bit now whenever, you know, anyone says she's beautiful or he's handsome. Like I just feel like, what does that mean? Like it's anymore. Like we're so changed in our brains that it is completely about whether you feel you are.
You can tell if someone feels good or is.
Well, then, right. So then I used to say you could wear a paper bag and have style. And then that's what led to what's underneath, basically.
Yeah, so we basically started to realize that what we were drawn to in these people were not actually their clothes. It was their comfort in who they are. And how could we show the world that? How could we show the world that style is actually not about the clothing that you're wearing, but is about self-acceptance and being comfortable in your skin. And so that's how we came up with the concept for our video series, What's Underneath, which is now what we're kind of known for, which is the undressing.
And style is kind of used, and now, I mean, it's grown. The word has grown in terms from when we were originally using it, because now to me it's about power. You know, it's about love. It's just the outer expression of that fierce self-love.
Asking people to undress and take off their clothes until they're in their underwear as we're interviewing them about style and self-image and identity was, you know, our way of like showing people literally and symbolically, like removing all the layers of like cultural conditioning and everything we've been taught about how we're supposed to look, how we're supposed to dress, how we're supposed to be, everything, and like reclaiming our bodies and ourselves outside of that.
Beautiful. I think I had read that you felt like you had transferred to her a low self-esteem. Is that an accurate recollection? So what it sounds like is that what you're telling me now is all about how do you have your esteem, right? And how do you feel in your body? It's not about how someone thinks I'm beautiful or not, but how do I feel about myself? And therefore, beauty comes from within. So what have you done to get to that point? Now,
ourselves?
Yeah, yourselves. Because I think that's a big statement to say that I feel like
so much
I put on to my daughter to have low self-esteem because of obviously the way that you then behaved and demonstrated it to her. How do you deal with that? What has been the...
How did I undo it?
Correct.
Radical honesty, becoming defenseless, looking at my deep work on myself, freeing myself.
How did you recognize it? How did you realize that you had transferred that, or at least in your belief that you had transferred that to your daughter?
It was at the beginning of Style Like.
Did I tell you?
It was at the beginning of Style Like You when you started to you wanted me to photograph you like in tight clothes and like or without clothes, and like you were really exploring your body and your own acceptance. And that was before What's Underneath.
What had happened like growing up is not necessarily that she modeled low self-esteem, like because she always had the ideal sort of, in my mind, what was the ideal body. So she I think I embodied a lot of confidence growing up. Like, as far as your physical appearance, like, to me, as a child, I thought I looked at her as a confident embodiment of, like, beauty. And I wanted to look like her because she had the ideal that, like, fashion was portraying, and I didn't. In body specifically, I wanted to be more like you and have your confidence, but I thought in order to have that, I had to get skinnier. And so, and then what she did that was problematic is that she was, as a mom, her biggest, like, sort of flaw was that she whenever my brother or I were struggling with something, she wanted, like, a quick fix, kind of. So if I was struggling with my body image, she was like, okay, lose weight, like, because she didn't want me to be unhappy. She wanted me to fit in. She wanted me to have good, positive experiences with the boys in middle school, and I wasn't. And so she was like, maybe just lose weight, you know, like, so she would encourage me to diet and lose weight. And so, and then when I would be on these, like, yo-yo dieting thing of dieting, losing weight, getting the validation from men and my crushes that I finally wanted. And then I would, like, lose it and gain the weight back. And then she'd, you know, and reinforce it again. Maybe you should lose weight. You know, she'd sit me down and say, well, maybe exercise more, maybe eat less. Da, da, da. So she actually, like, it was more like active, that you were, like, part of making me feel like something was wrong with my body. And then she was kind of, like, for lack of a better word, like, kind of a MILF. Like, she was, like, you know, she was the hot. She was a super hot mom that, like, you know, the boys that I wanted them to have crushes on me, I had crushes on her, you know.
Wow. Oh, that's complicated.
Yeah. So it wasn't until we started Style Like You, and I don't know, it just propelled both of us on this just, like, explosive unlearning journey. When we started interviewing all these people that had so many different body types and self-expression, I started to realize that I could maybe accept myself. We realized together that we were both victims of this.
Yeah.
Same.
We were both victims.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. Even if you don't look the same and your bodies could be completely different, you're still under the same propaganda and the same system that makes you unhappy with your body. Because I almost can guess that even though you had the quote unquote ideal body, I'm sure that you found things that were wrong with your body.
Absolutely.
Right. And you didn't see that. You only saw, she has the ideal. She must be happy. And, you know, if I get that body, then I'll be happy too. But we're all just, you know.
Yeah, I just wanted to
can't escape it.
I just wanted to go jean shopping and, like, slide into the skinny jeans like she was, but that wasn't happening for me.
Did you get to a point, or have you gotten to a point where you've fully accepted your body and who you are? Yeah, so I don't think you're ever, like, there. I don't think there's, like, an end, but I do think as close to the end as there is, I am, as far as, like, the unlearning and deconditioning, is that a word, of my brain. Like, so basically through interviewing, now we've interviewed for our What's Underneath series, like, probably almost 200 people, I'd say. And basically what happened is, as we were interviewing people, especially, like, curvier or plus size people that owned that about themselves, I started to, you know, look at them and just be like, because, like, I genuinely found them so beautiful and I started to realize, oh, that's because they're owning it. Like, it's the only thing that's between me and that beauty that they're exuding is not changing something physically about myself. It's just getting to a place where I can own it the way they're owning it. And so I just made my work finding a way to own it instead of obsessively trying to change it.
Yeah.
So that, which I did through many means. But the biggest thing was, like, the representations, because I hadn't grown up with the representation of bigger bodied people, women specifically, owning their bodies. So
and also
I didn't. So once you see it, then you can start to
and you
realize
see people
it's possible.
in it. You see people and own it and feel good in it and flaunt it and feel safe and that they're just as wonderful and beautiful and accepting and all those things.
And the actual, you know, one of the really big thing, and I think I mentioned this before, is just it's a complete redefining of beauty that we've experienced. A complete change of neural pathways, complete, like, because of the experience of What's Underneath, because watching people go through this cathartic transformational experience of doing the interview and being and witnessing that, and you actually see that, you know, the messiness of their journey, the struggle is the ultimate thing that was the springboard to their power and to their strength and to their purpose. just watching this happen, this unraveling, and then at the end, what they look like, how they're radiating.
When they're not wearing makeup, when
everything is off
like...
and the clothes are on the floor.
To hear a mother and a daughter who clearly love each other, who are both stunning in your presence, and the fact that two women can have two different body types and experience some of that. I think that's still something that was probably designed by men. You are wonderful and you had the ideal body type, but for a lot of communities, that wasn't the ideal body type.
That's something that's come out and all when we started to do What's Underneath, every ill of the society poured out.
Right.
Well, and also we've interviewed a lot of like
every truth
Black women who felt inadequate for being too thin or something.
Yeah, 100%. It's a whole. I don't want to say it's a whole different thing. We're still living and breathing the same air.
Right.
However, there is a different dynamic. Had you possibly been raised in a Black community, maybe you would have seen a lot of boys, not necessarily want to hit on your mom more than they would have you because you may have fit the type that was attractive to them, and maybe that would have looked different. But the fact that that's even here, and that I get to hear this and listen to this and have kids of my own. I have 4 kids and 2 that are 7 and 6, a boy and a girl. And my daughter is slim. My sisters were never slim. I don't know what she's going to look like in 5 years and 10 years. The idea that her self-worth could have anything to do with whether she's 20 pounds this way or 10 pounds this way or fits in this fashion or that, and her worth and not feeling seen and valued and loved and gorgeous and beautiful and stunning and captivating to the world based on body type?
Based on men in a boardroom who are,
deciding what's on the cover of Vogue.
Exactly. Exactly. Like based on how badly they can make you feel, so you spend money.
Yeah. And the Disney characters that have always been like this thin and look like this.
It's literally a crime.
Why do you think it's a crime? Can you tell us more about that?
Because it's taking advantage. It's exploitive. It's robbing people. It's robbing people of everything. That it's the opposite of the way it's supposed to be. We are supposed to be whole. We're supposed to be fully alive. We're supposed to live our unlimited beliefs. Like we all have unlimited beliefs, and I believe we're supposed to live those beliefs. Like we're supposed to live our dreams. Like they're not an accident dreams. Like they're not an accident. Everyone has them, and everyone has their own, and we're supposed to do them. And so they're taking that away. They're robbing us of our of our purpose, of our soul, of our light, of everything, and it's destroying the world because
we're stuck on a treadmill. I mean, we interviewed
stuck on a treadmill.
Or a hamster wheel to nowhere. Yeah,
and we feel that self-acceptance is resolving that problem because the problems of the world are so overwhelming. The environment, it's so overwhelming. Everyone is obviously so overwhelmed, and that. Where does it begin? We feel that it begins with self-acceptance because if we weren't on this treadmill and looking outside of ourselves to feel good about ourselves and to feel valid, and wasting our time with that, we would probably solve these problems.
Yeah, and what's so interesting is that a lot of the people who are desperate to preserve the system the way that it is happen to be men, right? If we think about Lizzo, who went on your show, and as I said in the intro, it was really a really defining experience for her, and now she's become this role model for a lot of people to accept their bodies the way that they are, and she has so much fun with it. Sure, there are women who will talk shit about Lizzo, but I feel like the men who are the people who are the most public about it and who take the most offense are people who aren't even women, right? Are people who are not Black women. Why do men care about Lizzo loving her body so much? What is the threat to them?
Everything.
Yeah, I think I know.
Yeah, what? Tell us.
Well, I don't think I know. I think
you have a hypothesis.
Thank you. I'm just going to just speak for me because I can't find the words. No, there's been a few times you've actually said the word that I wish I would have said. I think men have been conditioned to think that one particular beauty is the beauty. It's not black women have not been on the cover of magazines. That's the idealistic. It's the Christy Brinkley's of the world and the whoever else the other Kate Mosses and Cameron, right, and all of that, right? And not that they're not beautiful and wonderful, but that's been what's the standard. So boys are raised with that. When you look at boys that look at porn, most of the porn would all be a certain size women. Anything that would stimulate you was always a certain size woman. So then when you would find a larger size woman, own that. I think what it does to men is like, oh, wait a minute, if that now becomes the standard, I don't want women to own that because I want her to lose weight. I want her to look like what I have been told is beautiful and what I'm seeking after. So Lizzo threatens men's wife. That's a plus size woman. And now she's not going to try to lose weight because she's now following Lizzo instead of Christy Brinkley. I don't know why I keep thinking of Christy Brinkley. So it threatens our standard of what
status as men of having a thin, right, or having a woman that fits a certain standard.
And now when I say our, I don't mean mine. Let me just separate mine from that.
We're speaking
but probably me too, to be truthful. You know, I mean, I'm sure I drink the same Kool-Aid that the rest of the world drinks. Right? And I can try to like dilute it with as much as truth as I can, but it's still drinking the Kool-Aid or exposed to it at least. But I think that has something to do with it. It threatens our own.
Well, men are really suffering also. At the end of the day, they're suffering also with this problem, like because they're so limited in their in themselves because of this as well. That a person, a larger size person, or an older, or anybody is so ick to them, that it's really threatening to their power, and I think that's one of the reasons why we can't wait to do this series with you, because it's, obviously this problem is everything that you stand for, and it is such a big, men are the core, and especially white men, and they need to
at the root of the problem.
The root of the whole problem is this is their inferiority and insecurity.
Indeed. And also I think we have to model to our young boys a different thing. So what I have noticed is a lot of fathers that have young boys, if they were to say to them, well, let me take it to race for just a minute and then I'll relate it. So I have a friend who is deliberate, and whenever he sees a black girl, he says in front of his son, oh, isn't she gorgeous? Oh, she's so beautiful. He gets to hear his father comment about how beautiful a black girl is. They're white. He doesn't do it with white women. He knows that's the standard that he's getting from everywhere else. White women are beautiful. They're beautiful. They're the standard. He doesn't hear that black women are beautiful. But he hears his dad say to him and acknowledge, not like he's lusting after them, just like, oh my God, look how stunning she is. Oh, she's so beautiful. I love what she's wearing, whatever it is, to champion and see her. This boy's now raised, is up, and he's dating a black girl. It's a white kid, but a dark-skinned black girl. Does it have anything to do with the fact that his home championed and acknowledged the beauty of black women? 100% I believe it does, because the world doesn't. So what if we do the same thing? If we're only commenting on the girl that looks like whatever is said is supposed to be on the cover of Vogue, but if boys are hearing other people model like, man, look how beautiful she is, and not just like the physical appearance, but this has a big part of it. And we're acknowledging and being vocal about how beautiful people are that are different sizes, and our boys hear it. So I want to make sure that my son, who's been getting images, who's 7, all the time of what he thinks the standard is, and the TV shows he does, watching the cartoons that are all of a certain figure, that he hears me acknowledge more than anyone else women that don't fit that model. Not that they're not beautiful, but he's going to already get that. He doesn't need to reinforce that. He needs to be reinforced and have eyes and vision to see the beauty in all people, in all sizes, and all skin colors. So I think that's a practice we can do as fathers to our young boys and in schools and those that we influence, to have them witness us acknowledge the beauty in many others.
Right. And ultimately, why should any of us be dominated by a culture that's just selling us things? We should be ourselves. We shouldn't be what they want us to be.
Sure.
Do you think there's maybe a degree of like why men are threatened by Lizzo or something like that? Do you think there's a degree of like men aren't given a space right now to really like have conversations about the pressures they face to have a certain body and a certain appearance? I mean, there's a lot of pressures, I believe, men face with beauty standards as well that really, and it hasn't, I don't think it's really
Yeah.
exploded yet as far as like there being a liberation there. So maybe there's also a degree of like holding on because they don't have.
Yeah.
Like maybe they're jealous of the freedom that women are starting to experience.
Yeah.
Well, we know that firsthand because my son is, Lily's brother is gay, and he is so envious of Lily and all the role models that she has and doesn't feel that he has the same. And that's something that we want to bring out in this series.
Interesting.
So that's,
Yeah, and the whole pyramid breaks down, right? Or the whole system is sort of threatened, right? If women love their bodies, no matter what their bodies look like, well, a lot of people are going to lose a lot of money, right? And anytime that there's that threat, I think there are people who want to hold on to that system. And even for men, like what we would call an eating disorder for a woman, if you go to your local gym, like you'll probably find a lot of the same characteristics that are sort of in a different package. And so a lot of men are fed these books, which, once I went on a deep dive of just like the most popular books for men, and it's very regimented, it's very precise and specific. And so men are holding on to that for themselves too, I think, right?
A lot of pressure, so much pressure.
Yeah.
I have less compassion for it.
You do.
I do. I should have more compassion for men who have a problem with their bodies.
And why?
I mean, let me be clear. There are men that I love that have
Justin being one of them.
Acknowledges he has body dysmorphia.
Yeah.
And it's been something he's worked through. Now, this is a guy that most people say is the statue of men. But do I think it affects men the same way it affects women? It does not. Do I think it has you can have different sizes of men that are powerful in the world and that aren't viewed and judged on their beauty or their bodies to be successful in life. It does not affect men the same way as women. So to have the conversation at the same time is a little bit uncomfortable for me. And it's not to honor if my son is dealing with something physically that I don't want to honor it. And oh my God, let's talk about this. And I want you to feel good in your skin and all the things. But if you compare it, if a white man compares his struggle at the same time to that of a black man, about going up the ranks. It's like, I don't know if that's the right time for it. Yeah. Although you struggle and I want to hear your story. So I don't want to deflect from the experience that women face.
Right.
That are different than men.
It has a much more wide-ranging consequences, and it's not anecdotal, right? We know even in the data, like according to academic research, a plus-size woman, the effect on her income will be much more dramatic than a plus-size man. Like being plus-size will impact how much money you make and the salary and the position, right, that you'll be in. So I think you're right that there's a big difference. But Lily, I'm so curious. I know there's so many people who are listening. It's very hard to find anyone who accepts their body fully, no matter what it looks like. So how did it impact your life? Like, and particularly with like dating and stuff like that in your everyday life and your relationships with.
Before you answer that, Liz, because I want you to answer that because that's important. Okay. I just want to say something before you answer, if you don't mind. So I am more than a black man. I'm a man that has a lot of things to say in the world that has nothing to do with my skin color. And it should not be the responsibility of everyone that has dark skin to have to talk about race. But I am one that can. The fact that we're talking about something has to do with body, and you're the one amongst us that is saying that we're referring to as plus size and had to accept their body in a way differently than maybe you or me.
Yeah.
And the fact that you have to carry that and talk about it is unfair and should not be your responsibility. I'm sorry for getting emotional.
It's true.
It should not be. But thank you for being one in the world that can talk about it because so many are struggling with it and can use a voice like yours that is in this market and experience. So I'm honoring you for being one that can talk about this very thing that should not have to be your responsibility.
That's so very true. Kind of you. That's very sweet.
With that, please answer Liz's question.
Yeah, and just I wasn't also like I am
more.
No, than I premised it, but I don't accept my body, and I think your history with this show and what it's shown you, right? You have this unique understanding of it, having interviewed all of these different people, and so I'm curious how what were those takeaways that were really impacted you?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm also more than happy to talk about it, and that's very kind of you to have that kind of empathy. And but
you choked me up too.
Yeah, I don't even know what to call myself. I don't know how to refer to myself. I'm like, am I curvy? Am I plus size? What does that mean? What is anything like compared to other people? I know that I like hold like skinny privilege compared to like other people. Like I know everything's relative. So as like what did my healing like journey kind of look like?
Just curious. Again, I'm sure there were many different learnings and different moments in doing the show where you're like, wow, but yeah, what for someone who's listening who's like, I hate my body.
What do I do?
What do I do?
Yeah, I mean, so like there were definitely like some early, very formative people that we interviewed for this series that like just had a very, very profound impact on me. One is someone named Naomi Shimada, who everyone should look up. She's amazing. she was a I guess plus size. I don't know. She was an in-betweeny model, I think. There's no good language for this stuff.
Well, it's also a lot of quote unquote plus size models don't fit into the They're not.
She was
big
too thin to be
thin.
A plus size model. Yeah, but not skinny enough to be a straight size model. Right. Everything's in air quotes for those of you who are listening.
Yes.
I just remember like when she took off. She took off her clothes, and I just saw her. She just had such a presence with her body, and like. When she took off her clothes and her stomach had a few like rolls in it, which is always like the worst when you're struggling with your body image. You're like, and then she answered like one of the last questions we asked her. We said, "What is your favorite part of your body?" Which is one of the questions we ask everyone that we interview. And she said, "My mouth." And she said, "It's because all my favorite things happen in my mouth. Like eating." And then she said, "Eating and kissing both are on my mouth." And so those are my favorite. And I was just like, just like the idea that like eating is good and we need to eat to like it's one of the most like pleasurable, joyful experiences of life and something that we should be really grateful that we get to do every day instead of like thinking about it as this thing that we should be controlling and freaking out about and like trying to minimize. There were moments like that with individual people that we were interviewing where they just embodied a comfort in themselves that was so like sexy. I was like, she's so sexy. Like, and then I started to think, well, if I can think she's sexy, I can think I'm sexy if I just like can embody myself in the way that she does. Basically just started to realize that if you embrace the thing that you're told to deny or suppress or whatever, you can kind of like transform it into the thing that is the most beautiful about you. So it was that. And then I started to like do this exercise with myself where I would just like stare at my body in the mirror or have my mom, she would take pictures of me like in my underwear. That was basically like my way of like trying to just reprogram my brain because growing up, I think I always was trying to hide. Like whenever there was like bikini pictures at the beach with my friends, I'd be like, oh no, like I'd put a towel over myself, and I tried to just flip that on its head and like stare at myself. And my mom took pictures of me in my underwear, and the first time I saw them, I like bawled. Like I freaked the fuck out.
Positively or negatively?
No, negatively. I was like, this is disgusting. I'm disgusted by this. It was really intense, right? You remember? I really freaked out. But I just tried to do the thing that I was like afraid of and also like, hiding from and recondition myself to get like used to it kind of. As time went on and she would take more pictures of me, I would just start to like them and I'd start to like be like, oh, I'm like, I just got used to it. And then I started to feel like it was beautiful in its own way. That was another thing.
So now when you're on the beach and you take the same photo in your bikini with your friends,
you'd love it.
Do you take it and like stand confidently in it?
I think it depends on the day. Like I think there's still moments where the little like inner child comes up and is still feeling the way I used to feel. And then there's other moments where I'm more like unapologetically confident. And I think it kind of like varies. And so I feel like I got to a point where I like had really I was really self-accepting. And then in the pandemic, like I think I gained like 10 or 15 pounds. Like I was the same weight for like 8 to 10 years. And then I think I gained like 10 or 15 pounds. And the voice came back that like I had kind of, that was like, you did something wrong. You failed. Like something, it's your fault. And I didn't think I actually changed anything about my, like what I ate or like, because my whole thing is I also tend to feel more like, which maybe this is bad, but like when I'm taking good care of my body, I these days I'm like, whatever it looks like, as long as I'm taking care of it, I don't care.
Well, that brings up actually something for me that I wanted to ask, which was, there's a spectrum, let's just say, because there are people that could be too thin health-wise, right? And people that are too heavy health-wise for their heart or things of that nature. We're not saying one should not be mindful of their weight if it's a harm to their heart or their vitals in some way, just as you should not be too skinny because you don't have the strength to carry yourself and be strong.
Or minerals and vitamins that you need, yeah.
Does that come up at all? And I would imagine more with plus-size women who are accepting, and then you get a lot of people saying, well, it's not healthy, and you're supposed to be this, whatever.
I mean, I can't speak for anyone else's experience with this, but for me personally, like, it was, part of the reprogramming was noticing that I exercise almost every day. I jog, I hike.
Yeah.
I enjoy feeling good from what I eat. So none of it's extreme for me. I'm not like the healthiest person in the world, but I just noticed it didn't have to do with that necessarily for me. Like for me, my body just is how it is. Like for me, when I was when I was dieting as a kid and I would basically eat like 400 calories a day for like months on end and exercise at like 6 a.m. before school, like intensely on the treadmill. And I was maybe like 160 pounds at my skinniest. So like 160 pounds, I feel like at that time still sounded like really heavy. Like, I don't know, on the heavier side from what I grew up thinking was like what a girl's weight should be, which is so insane that we think there's like a weight.
Insane.
Insane. So when I was like 160 pounds, which was my skinny, I lost my period.
Right.
So I didn't look anorexic. Like you did. I didn't look like what the stereotype of someone who is not eating looks like, but I basically was barely eating and still had some like meat on my bones. I looked healthy. Yeah. I looked probably what one would think is like healthier than from the standard
but your body
what
wasn't,
we're taught.
But it wasn't healthy.
But I didn't get my period for months from that lifestyle, whereas now I'm eating regular, what I probably should be eating. So it was just a lot of shifting of like, there's definitely not a like blanket synonymous health equals skinny thing. Then we've definitely been taught that there is. So.
We need a system. We need a new society. I mean, we need something that looks different in X amount, 5 years, 10 years, 20, whatever it is, our new generations, where this is not anything.
Well, the thing is, it's getting...
There's common health.
With so many things, too. I mean, our videos point out everything. I mean, the body size and everything is just one part. I mean, we deal with gender and race and age and mental health and physical health and abilities. And I mean, every single solitary thing we can expose or get our hands on. So it's all problematic.
It's all problematic.
And it's kind of getting worse, right? We've never talked about Ozempic on this podcast.
About what?
Ozempic. Do you know what that is?
Not a clue.
Okay. Well, Ozempic, there's this new drug that a lot of celebrities are taking, but also the general population is taken, and it's a weight loss drug. But there are a lot of people who don't have quote unquote weight problems or weight issues, and people are being very cagey about it. Celebrities who are probably on it are not saying that they're on it, and so there's a whole debate about.
Isn't this the thing that people are supposed to take for
diabetes?
Diabetes.
Yeah, diabetes, exactly. And there's these reports, which are pretty recent, coming out of Facebook and social media platforms that eating disorders for young girls and young women, right? And there's an increase in the amount of young girls who are going in for eating disorder treatment. So yeah, I'm curious, as you're creating something that is really going against all of this, but you're also seeing sort of the environment getting worse in many respects. Yeah, how do you view all of those things?
One of our big goals and drives right now is to get this message out beyond the choir. That's, and that's what we're working on, like behind the scenes. Like we have, an incredible, dedicated, beautiful, audience, and they're smart and they're amazing and they get it, and, it increases, but it really needs to go way beyond the choir.
Couple questions. Tell us 2 things that you love about your mama.
I love that she is always willing to look at herself and grow, and that she has the spirit of a 16-year-old. She doesn't buy into the idea that you're not always on like a growing, changing, like shedding journey of your old self. Like she just has such a empowering way that she like views living. It's she doesn't give up ever.
Doesn't give up. What are 2 things you love about your daughter?
2?
Yeah, I know there's 100,
2.
but just share two of the things.
Well, she's my hero. She's my shiro. She's, I don't know, just her, definitely in the body image area and journey. She's changed my life. She's she's turned me inside out. She's made me see everything differently. She's made me love myself more because of how much she loves herself. And yeah, so that's huge.
The second one, tell her.
I love just your love of, I don't even know where to start. Your love, your competence, your capacity, your dedication. You've put a lot of things on the back burner at a very young age for something much bigger than yourself. Yeah, that's major. I really, really admire that so much. And I'm really excited right now for you to be able to do less of that and to really enjoy the rewards of it all. And I'm loving seeing you starting to do that. And yeah, I love you for all that. And I'm inspired by you for that.
Thanks.
I hope that makes sense. I don't know where to start.
It makes so much sense. I love it. I love to hear parent and child tell each other and hear things.
We did What's Underneath side by side, so you can, if you desire, go take a look at that video.
You're going to go look at that
video.
So we always end every episode by asking the same question. What does it mean to be man enough to you? What does that mean?
To be vulnerable and authentic about who you are, no matter where you're at on your journey.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I was going to say just to be, just vulnerable and willing to face yourself.
Willing to be wrong.
Willing to be wrong.
Willing to be wrong.
Yeah, willing to be wrong. Yeah.
WTW.
WTW. I love it. I love it so many times. People answer, and we rarely hear what is, even from men, even from the brute men. It's like, what does it mean man enough? Rarely do we hear to be strong, to be the protector, to be, not that those aren't important things for all of us to be. I don't think it's exclusive to men for sure. But it's normally things that are like, why don't we just listen to our own answers?
I'm going to add to that. I think wear a skirt, wear a dress.
Okay, that's another conversation.
Wear some nail polish. Like,
that's
really like free yourself. Really, really, really free yourself, because it's whoever said that you can't do that. Why can women? Yeah, why can we wear a suit, wear pants? Like, why can't you do whatever you want
and still be man enough? Yeah.
Be free as free as women.
Wouldn't we say though that it would mean I have no interest in wearing makeup or nail polish? That doesn't mean that I'm not willing to do the work.
If
that's something that you want to do,
if that's something
then feel free to do so.
Yeah, to just be free to be who you want.
Yeah, and maybe question or investigate, double check that that's something you don't actually want to do, or whether that's
that's some fun you might be missing.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Really vulnerable, and I know a lot of people are going to benefit from
so many.
Yeah, how candid you've been in these conversations.
I think it's going to be so beneficial, the fact that you guys are partnering with us and doing something specifically for men. The fact that you're on this, and so many of our listeners are indeed men, and they get to be a part of the conversation that they may have not otherwise tuned into something, is really important. Thank you for doing that with us.
You're welcome. Thank you for having us. Thank you for doing all the great work that you do. And thank you for caring about this conversation. We appreciate it.
Love it. Liz.
Jamey.
Let's have him back again.
Yes. Part 2, part 3, part 4.
Part 3.
Wow.
So we're going to wrap it up here. Liz, where can they find us if they want to hear more episodes?
They can find us on YouTube, where they can watch these incredible outfits that we're all wearing, except for Jamey. He did dress up for you. This is Jamey dressing up, by the way. No, it's like, you look great. You always look great. You always look great.
This is me dressing up. Normally it's a t-shirt.
You wear like a dress shirt. Yeah, no, he like cares.
As long as it's you.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's all that matters.
I was like, I mean, we have two people that are like talking about style like you. Like, how do I style like them?
So yeah, check us out on YouTube. You can also listen to us wherever you listen to your podcasts.
It's been a pleasure to be with both of you. Thank you again. For those of you that like this episode, come back, listen to some more. And in the meantime, I am Jamey Heath.
I'm Liz Plank.
And this is Man Enough.